Wiggle, 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 wiggle. It is Thursday,
December 13th.
2018.
Do you
Go
know where
team!
Do you know where your cat is?
Do you know where your cat is? Because we don't know. We don't know where our
cat's somewhere.
But I'm sure as soon as she hears us talking to the camera, she'll be like, "Yay, it's my tongue!"
Yep.
Yay!
So, today we have a very special subject.
We do?
Not really, no.
What makes it so damn special?
I don't know.
We have a topic. I don't know about it being special, but we do have a topic.
We actually have a topic today, people. Yay!
We generally do. We just like to babble before we enter our topic.
I know. I'm being sarcastic.
You're being mean to me.
I'm not being mean to you.
Yeah, you are. You're being mean to me. I'm going to pour my soda on your head.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
I'll do it.
You're going to have to wash my bed again.
We don't have any quarters.
Yeah, bad idea then.
Yay, apartment living with laundromats. So, today we're going to talk about general anxiety disorder, panic disorder, and phobias, and what is the difference between them all? Because people get them all confused. So, I did my research and I put down what I already knew, just from personal experience. So, it is possible to have one, two, or all three, but it is possible to only have one or two, or just one.
Or none.
Or none, of course, but...
But if you have none, you're probably on the wrong channel.
Yeah, you're not watching this video if you have none.
Now, phobias... I don't consider a phobia, other than like agoraphobia, a mental illness.
Okay, here's how that works. The way they define it is a phobia is counted as a mental illness when it's traumatic enough to interfere with daily life. Like, if you're afraid of heights, but you don't have to go anywhere high up, that's not a mental illness.
Okay.
If you are afraid of cats, that's a specific phobia. That's not really a mental illness. Just avoid cats, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
But they are considered in the diagnostic manuals.
The DSM, yeah.
Yeah. The diagnostic statistic, whatever, I give up.
DSM. I think they're up to DSM-6 or some kind of crap like
5.
that. I thought they were up to 6.
They're up to 5 last time I checked.
Oh, okay.
So I looked in my textbooks, and I looked all over online, and I took notes. So we're going to start with general anxiety disorder. It is chronic obsessive worrying, and it's not considered a disorder until it's been at least 6 months straight of this. I'm sure most therapists are going to be like, okay, it's only been 3 months, but it's obviously you do have a problem. We're not going to wait till the 6-month line to start treatment. People with general anxiety disorder tend to expect the worst. Their fears are unfounded or greatly exaggerated. Not their fault. They didn't do anything wrong.
Nope.
It is difficult to control with them. Self-talk doesn't work quite as well as it does with certain other anxiety disorders. They tend to be very tense and irritable, exhausted. They have difficulty concentrating. And there are physical manifestations of this, including headache, trembling, sweating, nausea, dizziness from shallow and rapid breathing, like if they're about to panic, that you do that long enough, you're going to get dizzy. And even diarrhea or excessive urination, or in my case, this has happened to me before. I couldn't urinate at all. I had to, but I couldn't. Like, one example was I was at one of my last jobs. I was working at a store in the mall, and I was on my shift alone. I didn't have anybody with me, and it had been busy, so I'd been kind of tensed up, and I'm playing with you. Anyway, I was kind of tensed up, and well, when one of my coworkers came in, just to see how everything was going. I was like, would you please mind watching the store for a moment so I can go to the bathroom? Because I had to really badly. And yeah, no problem. Go, go, go. So I went into the bathroom and I tried, but I was so tensed up about the day, and my anxiety was through the roof, and there were just crowds of people everywhere, which was triggering the agoraphobia that I didn't know I had at the time. And I couldn't pee. I couldn't. I just sat there and I'm like, and I just couldn't do it. So that can happen. It's rare, but it can. Alright, so that's general anxiety disorder. What makes panic disorder a little different, well, with general anxiety, it's chronic, it's ongoing, it's pretty much a steady thing. With panic disorder, their problems come in spurts, not chronically. They get these attacks, these meltdowns, and you can have general anxiety disorder and still have panic attacks. Or panic disorder, both. You can have both. Usually people have one or the other, but you never know. They have overwhelming anxiety and panic. Physical things is their chest will tighten up, their chest can hurt. It can easily be misdiagnosed as a heart attack, leading to an emergency room visit for a pro's opinion, for testing. And one thing with panic attacks, if they do end up in the hospital, a lot of times just being in the hospital and talking to a doctor will make you feel better. Because sometimes that's all you really need is a doctor to say, you're okay, this is what's happening, it will go away, you'll be fine. And that's all it takes sometimes. Sometimes it does take more than that. People with panic disorder tend to avoid triggering situations and stuff like that to prevent a reoccurring attack, and that's also very common in phobias, which we will get to in a few minutes. They avoid triggering thoughts and activities such as health issues, going over finances or locations. And the Google has stopped, but the camera has not. Okay, that's weird. Anyway,
Okay, Google
stopped, but the camera didn't. So
okay,
they won't see that box.
that's true.
Yeah, they won't see that. Just ignore all that. Our phone is having issues. Going over finances, or they also will avoid locations, such as going into public, and that's very common with agoraphobia, which we will also get into in a moment. These panic attacks can lead to social or health consequences, such as high blood pressure and headaches. If you're having a panic attack, of course, you're going to have increased adrenaline. You're going to have that fight or flight instinct kicking in for usually sometimes no reason at all, sometimes a little reason that got blown out of proportion. But either way, those attacks can raise your blood pressure, of course. They can increase your heartbeat. The adrenaline will get you going and get you nervous and get you even more excited than you already are. Panic attacks usually can be brought into control with a special breathing exercises, meditation. We've done that rag over the eye thing. That is good for it. That'll work too sometimes. Works for him, works for me. But when it can't be under control, get under control, that is a good time to go to the hospital. The hospital can give you medication. The most common one is benzodiazepines, which include Ativan, Valium, Xanax, and Klonopin, and a Boost Bar, and a few others. And they'll give you a dose of that if you don't have a drug problem. If you've had a history of a drug problem, they'll try to avoid giving you a benzodiazepine, because those things can get addictive and habit forming. But if you're legitimately having a panic attack and it's obvious that you need help, they will give you something like that. In fact, that's how I got my first dose of Ativan. Was I was having a panic attack that I tried for like 5 hours to get it to go away, and I couldn't. So my ex-husband brought me to the ER, and it was actually kind of funny. They gave me 3 milligrams of Ativan, which is a lot, shot straight into my butt. which made it even stronger. And he said, in about 15 minutes, you're going to start feeling a lot better. And he was right. In about 15, 20 minutes, I was like, oh, okay, I'm okay now. And then he forgot to warn me that if I'm not used to Ativan, I could get really dizzy. And I just suddenly out of nowhere said, I have to go to the bathroom. And before he could come and catch me, I climbed out of bed, got dizzy, and fell face first onto the floor. Because I had to pee, but I had no idea how dizzy I was until I stood up. That was kind of fun. Yeah, anyway, those can be treated with medications such as benzodiazepines. I think sometimes they'll even use muscle relaxers, mild ones, if you're having a lot of tension because of it. So that's basically the difference between general anxiety disorder and panic anxiety disorder is the pattern. With general, it's chronic, it's constant, it has its ups and downs, but it is almost always there. Where with panic disorder, you're normal, and then all of a sudden it just comes out of nowhere. And sometimes for a reason there is a trigger, sometimes it just happens. And that's the main difference between the two. Now, it is possible to have that chronic, ongoing thing, but with a panic attack here and there. Then you have both. Then the last thing is phobias, which, like David said, there is some questions here and there whether or not they're considered a mental illness, because it all depends on how much these phobias actually affect your daily life. Let's see. The definition of a phobia that I got from one of my books is an irrational, persistent fear of an object, situation, or activity that poses no danger, or a potential danger is overly exaggerated. A patient may realize they're being irrational, but still have difficulty overcoming it. A presence of said phobia can lead to panic attacks. Common phobias include heights, certain animals, dentists, doctors, needles, spiders, snakes, ladders. I've even heard of somebody being afraid of balloons. Let's see. Two of the
Balloons?
Balloons.
Really?
Oh, no, I'm serious. It's in one of my books. I'll show it to you later, if you want.
It's called Grow the Hell Up.
No, it's not. It's not. Don't go there. That's not cool.
It's a balloon.
David, they're irrational fears. That's why they're called phobias. They're irrational.
Okay.
Alright?
Okay.
Alright? You gonna argue with me about it some more?
Nope.
Yes, the fears are irrational. Two common treatments include flooding or making a hierarchy of fear. Flooding, we'll use the balloon example, would be locking a patient in a room with a lot of people holding balloons and needles and forcing the patient to endure all these people popping all these balloons. It will send the patient into a panic attack, of course, and then over time, the patient will realize, okay, the balloons are popping, but I'm not getting hurt. Nothing bad is happening. So that flood, that overexertion of all that stuff being thrown in your face at once kind of makes your brain reset itself.
So it's the popping aspect.
Sometimes it's the popping, sometimes it's just balloons.
That's just weird.
It happens. I've heard of people being afraid of aluminum foil.
Tinfoil hats, everyone!
Very nice.
The aliens are coming.
Thank you for being very compassionate and understanding.
I'm sorry.
Ignore him. He's being a butt today.
Yep.
Hierarchy of fear is basically taking baby steps. The example I'll use for that is I witnessed a gang fight on a bus once when I was living in Illinois. And it kind of pretty much instilled a horrible fear of public transportation. After that gang fight, it was really hard for me to step onto a bus. So the hierarchy of fear that me and my therapist at the time were working on is you take the littlest possible situation and you deal with it over and over until you can get through it. Like our first step was me just thinking about buses. I was at the point where thinking about buses alone would it wouldn't give me a panic attack per se, but it would make me very unhappy or uneasy. So we would sit there and think about buses until I could get through it. Then we would move up to talking about buses. And then once I got through that, we went to looking at buses. Once I got through that, we got stepping onto a bus, but not riding it. Just stepping on until I'm comfortable enough to ride it, or until I can't take it anymore and I get off the bus. We did run into a few bus drivers who were very confused and kind of like, you want to do what?
See, now that fear makes sense.
That one, yes. It does make sense. I could even say that was a little bit of a PTSD type of situation, too. PTSD can lead to phobias. Let's see, and one of the more common phobias that does count as a mental illness is agoraphobia. We've briefly discussed this before. I have agoraphobia very badly. Not as bad as I used to be, but I am still pretty bad. And, let's see. Agoraphobia is the fear of inability to escape a situation, such as a crowded area, which is the most common, or an open space where there is nothing to use for support, like a field. That is a weird one. It's rare, but it is a weird version of agoraphobia, and I have it. Like, if you were to take a bus or a car out to the middle of a cornfield and drop me off and leave me there, I would panic. You would think just walk off the edge of the cornfield, but I don't know why, but for some reason it would panic me. So yeah, that counts as agoraphobia. Fear of open spaces, fear of crowded spaces.
Maybe it's the loss of direction.
Yeah, that could be part of it. Yep, loss of direction.
Yeah.
Like if I were stuck in the middle of an ocean on a boat and I couldn't see any land anywhere, I'd probably be like, where are we going?
Yeah, pretty much. Like if someone drives you into the middle of a cornfield and you don't know where you are, a lot of people would panic at that.
Yeah, but even if I did know where I was, I'd still panic.
That's true.
Yeah,
you have an extreme case.
That's what makes it a mental illness.
Yeah.
Now, if you just panic because you can't find your direction, that's pretty normal.
Yeah.
That's pretty normal. People get fear about being lost all the time.
It depends upon the level of panic on that also.
Right, yeah. Let's see, also included is the fear that should help be needed, medical or otherwise, such as an attack. If you were in a crowded space and you were attacked and you couldn't find or the potential for you to be attacked was there and you couldn't find any way for an officer or somebody to get to you because it's that crowded or whatever, that would make you nervous because basically people, the fear that should help be needed, medical or otherwise, such as an attack, will not be able to get to them. That's the definition of agoraphobia. Agoraphobia can become severe enough that people will go as far as planning their lives around avoiding those triggers. Triggers for me included going to the store, going to restaurants, going to parties, going to churches, going to busy streets, going to school, going to work, going to public transportation, all that kind of stuff. And I did, at some point, my agoraphobia got so bad that I became housebound. I would not leave the house alone at all. The only time I was able to go shopping, grocery-wise, which I think I've told you guys this before, was when my ex-husband would take me to a grocery store at, say, 1, 2, 3 in the morning, when most people are in bed. And then the only people in the store are either employees or third shifters like me, or, well, not like me, like, third shifters like I used to be at one of my jobs, because that's when they're awake. But at 2 or 3 in the morning, the store is going to be a lot less crowded than it would be at, say, 5 or 6 in the afternoon. So, yeah, so people will go as far as to become housebound, unable to go to work, unable to go to school, unable to run errands, unable to hold a job, unable to go grocery shopping, And that is when it really turns into not only mental illness, but a disability. And that's part of the reason why I got on disability. It was not only because of my schizophrenia, but because of my agoraphobia. My agoraphobia, we started with the hierarchy of fear. And unfortunately, I moved before we could get very far into that hierarchy of fear when I was with that old therapist in Illinois, who was a great therapist, but I had to move, so I had to let him go. And I'm better now than I used to be.
I agree.
I still, like, okay, we have a little grocery store in here in this little town we live in. And usually I'm okay with that store. Because, like I said, it's a little town, so it's not very busy usually. But if you want me to go into a Walmart, the only reason I can ever go into a Walmart alone is I know where the empty aisles that I could duck into safety are if I have a panic attack. Now that's the problem with the little store here in town. There is no place to hide if you had a panic attack. In Walmart, it's big enough that you can find an empty aisle to go down and calm yourself, and then retry whatever you were there for. And that's part of the reason why we use the Walmart pickup thing, where we through the app we place our order, and then we drive over there and they load it into our car for us, so I don't have to step foot in the Walmart, and I can get my shopping done, which I think is really awesome. That just about wraps it up. I know I talked a lot, and I'm sorry. If you guys have any questions, please comment below. Do you have anything you want to add to this, David?
Nope.
Have you ever had any experiences with any phobias or agoraphobia?
I don't think agoraphobia.
No. What other phobias have you have you had experiences with?
I don't know of any, actually.
Do you have generalized anxiety disorder?
Yes.
There you go. And that is chronic for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you do have a mild case of panic disorder.
Yep.
You have gone into panic attacks.
Oh, yeah.
But you don't have phobias. And
nope.
Like I said, you could have 1 or 2, or 2 and 3, or 1 by
I
itself.
just have a rational fear of people. Not irrational, rational.
What do you mean?
Wait, is it really rational? I don't know.
Well, tell me about it and we can decide if it's irrational. What are you afraid of the people doing?
Being stupid. We'll talk about this on another video, because we're already over 23 minutes.
Oh, are we really? Okay,
yeah.
Well, we will talk about his phobias in a different video.
Yes.
Otherwise, that's all for today. We hope you guys are having a great week. Please don't forget to subscribe and hit that thumbs up, that enthusiastic thumbs up, because you know you want to. So, we will see you tomorrow.
Have a good night.
Bye.
Day.